guys, it's Tiffany from Super Easy Math. Today's math problem of the day says a company has 500 employees, of which 60% are women and 40% are men. If 30% of the women and 20% of the men have a master's degree, what percent of the total employees have a master's degree? Well, to start this problem off, I'm going to calculate 60% of the 500 to figure out what number, not percentage, of the women have a master's degree. So if you think about it, whenever you multiply a number by 1, you just get itself. It would be 500, right? Well, I don't want to multiply it by a whole percentage, which is what the 1 represents, like a whole percent or 100, all of it, okay? I want to multiply it by 60%, okay? The 1 represents 100%. What would represent 60%? It would be 0.6. So if I wanted to calculate 60% of something, I would multiply it by 0.6. Similarly, if I want to calculate 40% of something, I would just multiply it by 0.4. So let's start with the 500 times 0.6. We have 0, 0, 30, and my decimal comes in 1. So this means we have 300 women. Now, I know that the remaining percentage is 40% because we're dealing with only male and female in this particular example. So that means we have 200 men. Now, the later part of the question goes on to say, if 30% of the women and 20% of the men have a master's degree, what percent of the total employees have a master's degree? Well, now what I'm going to do is consider the percent situation that I just explained here, multiplying by the 0.6 or 0.4 or whatever. But I'm going to apply it to these new numbers, the 300 and the 200. So I'm going to take my 300 and I'm going to multiply it by 0.3 because that's going to give me 30%. So I have 0, 0, and 9. My decimal ends up being here. So this is the same thing as just 90. So when I place my decimal in one space, I can see that this is going to end up being the same thing as just plain old 90. Now I'm going to do the same thing, but for the men. So I know that there's 200 men, and I know that I need to calculate 20% of that. So I need to multiply by 0.2. So I have 0, 0, 4, and then my decimal space is only 1 in. So I need to move it in 1, starting from the right and going to the left. So that gives me 40. Now to answer the question, it says, what percent of the total employees have a master's degree? I need to add these two numbers. So the 90 plus the 40 gives us 130. So now to answer the final question of what percent of the total employees have a master's degree? Well, I need to realize that's 130 out of 500, and that would give me 26%. You can calculate that by dividing the 500 into the 130, or you could double the fraction, and that's what I chose to do in my head. I can see that if my denominator became 1,000, that's a base 10 number, so that's going to be easier for me to figure out a percentage because my numerator would be 260, and so I could just take those last zeros off of my numerator and denominator, and I know that my top number would be percentage because the bottom number would be 100. So it's saying 26 out of 100. Here's tomorrow's math problem of the day. See if you can solve it before I do, but don't forget to head over to Super Easy Math where you can get a live math tutor who can help you with all of your math needs.